Goes up to this thing, see how the service works here in this wonderful rainy parking lot. So, for those of you watching this, I may or may not leave this up for replay, but had some plans to go do some things. They got canceled. I figured since I was already in town, I would go ahead and pop on here and see how the service was and see if anybody showed up. So let's see. We'll give YouTube a minute to send out all the little notifications. I'm going to grab my other phone for the chat because I think that will work better. Somebody has shown up. Hello. Hello. All right. I'm just grabbing the chat on the other phone here. Turn the volume down. There we go. So yeah, just a rainy day Q&A. Figured I'd pop on here while I was in town with service. Don't have anything really new to update regarding the fish room area. Hey, Bewood, how are you? I hope you're doing well. There we go. Let me put this on top chat real quick. I do want to do a tour for you all and kind of show you what's going on with the fish, and also kind of walk you around the property and let you all take a look. Lady Metalhead, good to see you as well. At some of the potential sites for the new fish building that we're going to start on in March, into March, beginning of April. There we go. Now I got the chat over here. Emilio, how's it going? Missed your live streams. I miss you guys as well. I was headed into town to work with somebody on their YouTube channel and do some content this morning, and that got rescheduled. So I figured, since I wasn't going to get to do that, because I had planned to do a live stream from that location after we got done working on some things for their channel, since that got messed up, hop on here and see how this works, and then also I'll know how the service is at least in town, so I could drive in town and do some live streams. We are working to bring the live streams back on Thursdays. Hey, Michael, good to see you. But the internet is just horrible, and when it's overcast and rainy like it has been pretty much the past several weeks nonstop, that doesn't help with already really bad satellite internet. But Comcast is supposed to be within a couple months of getting service out to us, and then further down the road, we actually have there's a fiber company that within the next 2 years is supposed to have fiber out our way. So that will be really nice. But at least getting the Comcast would put us back to where we can do the Thursday live streams and things like that. Hey, there we go. Get me out of the dark there. Still have not built the rack system, stand system, that I need to for the 110 gallon and the 29s. Again, it's been rainy and nobody really wants to run extension cords and run saws in the rain unless you have to. But that is coming, and hopefully I'll be able to, even if I can't bring you all along for it live for any of it, I can still film some of it. Looks like the service is kind of decent out here, so that's a plus. MNC, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's it. Feel free to throw out any questions you all have. I really miss you guys. It's good being able to hop on here and talk to some people again and say hello. I've tried a couple times to do some mobile live things from the house, and the service has just been absolutely horrible. But we're gonna keep trying. I need to get on the shorts. I need to at least start doing those. I've got a couple of things for the members I need to upload. So I'm gonna figure out how exactly the best way to do that. 3G, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you being here. I've got the chat down here on the other phone for those of you all that are wondering why I keep looking over here. But yeah, it's been good. Um, let's see. Oh, I did finally get my hands on one of the aquarium co-op lights, and I am really enjoying playing with that thing. It's really nice. It kind of had some sneak peek into what it was going to be like. So it's what I expected, and it's working very, very well. And I do have to say, now that I am over well, right at an hour from my closest local fish store versus 4 minutes away, that I've very much been taking advantage of the aquarium co-op shipping. I needed some things a couple weeks ago, and I just hopped online and ordered there so I could get my brine shrimp eggs and things like that. But it's definitely been different. The fish are all doing well. I have been testing out using just the tap water, just the well water, without any dechlorinator or anything, because there's no chlorine in it, but there's some ammonia in there, and I've just, you know, you go on 15 plus years of using dechlorinator, it just kind of becomes a habit, and could be kind of scary, at least for me anyways, to not dechlorinate the water before I do, top offs and refilling tanks on water change days. But I have been running a study, I guess, with some cold guppies that I needed to pull out of a strain that just aren't aren't what I want that strain to be. They're just really, really, really small. So I've had them ingest the well water to see how they reacted, and they're alive and well. So that's good. I'll probably continue to do that for maybe. There we go. I have to go all the way over here. Um, I'll probably do another 2 weeks of water changes on that little test tank before I actually start doing my water changes in other tanks without using the prime, just because I'm so used to it. Glitch, how's it going? Vision, good to see you. Uh, I think I got you 3G, but if not, hello 3G. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's been different. It has been interesting, the world of no interwebs. But it's lots of family time, lots of time with the fish, and lots of good old work on the farm. Fun stuff. But here in the, like I said, hopefully not too distant future, we'll have some better interwebs out at the house, and we can do more stuff there. I miss seeing you guys as well. I do. That's part of why I popped on here. I was like, you know what? I can pull in the Food City parking lot on my way back, since I'm already in town and my plans got canceled. I can pull in here and see how things go, and at least pop on for a little bit and say hello to everybody, see what everybody's been up to, and see if anybody had any fishy questions that I could help with. But I did have, I lost one fish. Lost one fish. I lost a female guppy, but she was old anyway, so I think it was just that. All the other guppies in the tank are fine, and there are probably 60 to 75 other fish in that tank. Nobody's having any problems, so I think it was just her time. It was an adult when I got it, and it's she had several drops since then. So other than that, everything's been going great. Glitch, want to know how's the fish room build going? So right now, it's mostly trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to put the new building. Yeah, there is a cinder block 2 car garage with concrete slab, which is a little under 1,000 square feet, which is initially where I was planning on doing it. Just redoing that building and kind of building it to fit my needs. However, there's a very large tree right next to that building, and the root system of that tree, and some of the roots, like that, have actually pushed up through the foundation and have lifted the walls on that building, and have put cracks in between the cinder blocks so you can see light coming through. On top of that, though it does have electrical run through it already, it's probably got 15 outlets and lights and all that installed, which is part of why I was really excited to use that. Um, Two problems, one of which is not so big, which is the breaker box is ancient. It's one of the old school glass screw in fuse boxes, so that would have to be redone, which isn't so big of a deal. The bigger issue is that the building doesn't exist according to the electric company. Even though it's already got one of their meter boxes installed on that breaker box, they cannot figure out where the building is, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not in their records, and the building just doesn't exist. On the 26 acres, there are 3 different addresses, and it's not been attached to any of those addresses. So they're just like, yep, nope, that's not actually there. I'm like, well, you've got, one of your meter boxes on it. It doesn't have the meter in it, but it's got, your meter box and your lockout tag and all that. They're like, yeah, no, sorry, it's not there. So that's another issue we ran into. But I am still very, very, very tempted to get, I guess, a foundation company, some professionals to get their opinion and see if they think it's worth salvaging. If I take the tree out and get the roots out, maybe re-pour concrete, and get the wall settled back in, because the roof is good and it's structurally sound. It's not like it's falling over, but it is one of those things that if it continues the way it is, that tree is going to keep growing and those roots are going to keep growing, and you're going to end up having a wall fall out and then parts of the roof fall down and all that wonderful stuff. Big Shrimp, and good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So that's where we're at. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is still a really good storage building, and I will probably end up, even though we probably won't make that the fish building. Hey, Sarah, I hope you're doing well. It's good to see. I haven't talked to you in a while. Even if we don't make that the fish building, I will probably still do some quote unquote outdoor tubs and things in there. Since it won't be climate controlled, once like spring through fall, have some big tubs or even some aquariums set up in there. That would be kind of like my outdoor tubs, but then I won't have to worry about the leaves falling in them and those types of things. And so I think there's still going to be some fishy projects in that building down the road. Um, I've got a couple different spots picked out that are relatively flat, that don't have big trees that can uproot the thing, that are fairly close to the houses on the land. So, hey, Garden of Eden, what's going on, Grant? Good to see you. So, we're going to continue to try and decide exactly what I want to do. There is one spot that's kind of in between that concrete building and where they installed the well. Wow, it's a month and a half, 2 months ago now, in December. Uh, there's a spot in between there that's relatively flat, would of course be near the water source, which would be great. I may even build right up next to the well so that I can build an addition to house an extra storage unit, plus get that well indoors so that when it's really, really cold, like we had, last month, a month and a half ago, I don't have to worry about anything freezing up. So that's probably where it's going to be at, and that would be kind of nice. It's when people come to visit, it would be right there. Hey, Craig, hope you're doing well. There are a couple other spots on the property that would work well for the building, but they're kind of out of the way. One of them is on the opposite side of the 5 acre hayfield, and there had been at one point a structure there. There's still a lot of cinder block remaining from that, and it's nice and flat. And there's power that could be hooked up not far from there. But then you got to go all the way across the field every day. I guess it wouldn't be so bad for me, but if people come to visit, or if I throw a get together or something, then everybody's got to cross the field. So I'd rather have it kind of closer to the front, and then if it does transition into something where maybe there is a want for something local in terms of aquariums and fish, if people are coming over to my house to maybe buy fish or plants or things, it's just kind of right there. Glitch said, can't wait for tubbing season. We've got so much snow. We're quite a ways away from that. Yes, I haven't really had any snow lately, but it's just been like right now it's 45 degrees and raining, so it's just not good tubbing weather here either. But I'm really, really looking forward to that this year, now that we've got property and I can put out tubs and I'm not restricted by the office or HOA or anything like that in terms of what could be outside. One of the things we're also doing in March, into March, early April, is we're going to be getting some of the IBC totes, like Garden of Eden has and several other people do. And we're going to be setting up some big tubs outside along with some smaller things. I've got to dig a turtle pond, so that's another fun thing. But I am really looking forward to, now that I have the freedom to do things outside, getting the weather and the opportunity to do those things. So that's definitely going to be fun once that season comes about. Bloodworms and Beats, good to see you. Says good morning. Got a 75 with Angels, Geophagus Tapajos, Electric Blue Acara, and Festimum. What would be a good dither fish? So I would probably, if it were me, I would look into some tetras. There's so many different types of tetras, but I would look into tetras, find some tetras that you enjoy. Because again, there's a lot of different shapes and colors. I would go with something that's got a more streamlined body type versus some of them that are kind of broader and have bigger finnage. I definitely wouldn't go with any of the heavy skirted tetras or anything like that. But I would look through the dozens of available types of tetras that we have and find some of those that you enjoy and you would like to look at. So it's not just I added this fish to my tank because I needed a dither. Plus, a lot of those are typically fairly quick enough that they work well as dithers. Get in there. They don't all skull, but most of them at least will shoal or stay somewhat close together. And then they can take off and have some speed when they need to get away from something else. So I have found that a lot of different tetras work well as dither fish in those situations. And they can be fun. So that they, even though their intent is to be a dither fish, they end up being another enjoyable addition to your tank besides just something you put in there for a different purpose. So that would be my thoughts. But there's some other things you could do. Hey, Farmhouse Fish Room, good to see you. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well. Also, just popping on here on the way back home for anybody that popped in after the start. I had some plans to go do some content with somebody. That didn't work out. And since I ended up not doing the live stream that I plan to do later from that spot, I figured while I was in town, I would go ahead and hop on here and say hello, see how the service was in the Food City parking lot. And it seems to be doing all right. Hey, no problem, Bloodworm. Yeah, I love them too. There's so many different really pretty Tetris. And like I said, as long as you get something that's more streamlined body style or torpedo like, which are quite a few varieties of them, I think they should do just fine. And you really shouldn't have many issues with them getting picked off, except the picking that sometimes they do it with each other, depending upon which ones you get. I do miss having. I don't have a large community tank set up right now, unfortunately, and I am missing that. I'm missing having the Tetras and the Angels and all of that fun stuff in a big plated community tank. So hopefully soon. Well, into March, early April. That's when we'll be able to actually get some stuff done with the fish house build. That'll be fun. You can't really do much concrete work when it's cold. That stuff's gotta, and like we were talking about, do it right the first time. You want to make sure when you lay a foundation or pour a slab that you're doing it in the proper temperatures. Otherwise, that concrete's not going to set right, and then you're going to end up screwing yourself up in the long run, and you'll wish that you had waited and done it properly or at the proper time or season. So, but I've got the awesome T and Aqua, Robert, excuse me. He's a concrete guy by trade. So, hey, Paulie, what's going on, buddy? Hope you've been staying out of trouble with the misses, you know, sneaking those tanks upstairs successfully. But yeah, once we can actually get some concrete down here in another month and a half or so, we'll be in good shape. I think we're going to end up going with kind of a pre-built metal building. I still really, really, really want to do that concrete building or the cinder block garage that's on the property already, but I just don't know that it's going to be viable to do that with all the structural problems that we're finding with it. But worst case scenario, we put up a brand new building, so that's not necessarily such a bad thing. It's good to see you too, Paul. It really is. I miss you guys, so I'm glad to be on here and say hello to some people. Appreciate all of you all coming through here. I got about a dozen or so people, so thank you so much for that. This is not a time of day that's really on and popping. I guess not a lot going on usually this time of the morning on a Monday, so I wasn't sure who or if anybody would be on or about to hop on. So I appreciate you guys swinging by and saying hello. I hope that all of you all have been doing wonderful, and I do miss you. And hopefully, we will be back very soon with the Thursday streams. Um, Even if we just try and do maybe one a month, until we get some better internet service. Just something so I can hang out with you guys again because I miss seeing you all. All right, get rid of those notifications there. Yeah, that's pretty much the. I have to lean forward. I keep forgetting if I lean back, then I disappear. Out of the shadows I come. That's pretty much it. I will get some footage. I've got to go home and clean off my desk. I pulled out all of my fish foods so I could see what was still good and what could be condensed, all of that. So my desk is covered in fish food. Any new fish? Hey, there's T and Aqua. Speak of the Robert and his shallop here. Just talking about you, buddy. No, I haven't gotten any new fish. I actually had planned to look today. I won't say I planned to get anything today, but I was definitely looking with the possibility of picking up something today. Nothing big because I really don't have space. Right now, as it sits, we've got the 26 acres. And we've got two of the three mobile homes that are on the property. But the third one is still in probate, which will be the one that I'll be um, moving into, and I'll have some room to set up more tanks in that um, while we're transitioning over to the fish house. Yeah, Robert, I'm gonna put you to work. I was telling you were my local concrete guy, so I was consulting with you on the when and where and how I should get this project done when we build the fish house. But we're still waiting for that third house to come out of probate. Once that comes out of probate, that is a 3-bedroom double wide that will allow me to set some additional things up while we're transitioning to the fish building. But for right now, we moved from a 4-bedroom mobile home into a 3-bedroom. So I kind of got really cramped and downsized in that aspect. I lost my office, which was my little peaceful area. So now my office area with the majority of all my fish is in the living room. So I have a 4-foot rack that's got 16s on end. So it's got 15 tanks, and then the spot for the 16th tank actually used for the linear air pump. And I have 529s running. So if you're looking at the rack of tanks running this way to it, I have that way 529s in the floor right now, and the piranhas are still divided. But that is where I'm going to be building the rack for the 110 because I'm going to move them in the piranhas into the 110 for now. But what I think I want to do is I think I want to build it where the 520, so it'll come up a couple feet, and then the 529s will be on a layer, which will be wider than the 110, and then come up above it and have the 110 above it, almost like a bridge in the sky type of thing. Um, so you'll have this wider table below. Good morning, Jennifer. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hi, IHSP. Hope you are well also. So I think that's how I want to do that. I think it would look kind of neat to have the 29s down below running this way, and then the 110 running a long ways above them. So I need to get on that build, but I've had a lot of stuff to do around the house, from just redoing electrical work to redoing plumbing. I probably should have picked up a part while I was in town. I may have to drive back and do that. One of the sinks started leaking because the people that were in the house before us were not very good at fixing things. So it's just been a lot of fixing other people's handiwork. But it is what it is, and I enjoy it. So it's always nice to be able to take time and do things you enjoy. I know that doing it for a living is entirely different, and no plumber wants to sit at home and do their plumbing, or electrician their own electrical work. But I enjoy those things, so it's been nice. Yesterday and most days this past week have been inside work days. So just because it's been so rainy, I did get out and move uh, some power poles around, some pilings. The other fun thing is that the people that were there before us left a lot of junk. A lot of junk. About 4 dumpsters worth, and we've already cleared a couple dumpsters out. So it's everything from furniture to appliances to just piles of trash, and that's been not quite as much fun. Hey, Jerome, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Jerome, as I like to say. Um, but it is what it is. I still really want to do that concrete building for the fish house. I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, man, if I could get that structurally sound, it would be nice. Um, but I think the new building is probably the smarter idea to just do a new metal building on a concrete slab. Um, Let me see here. Bunny Viper, good to see you. I said bloodworms. I keep many of the same species. How about a rainbow species? That was for talking to bloodworms. I was like, bloodworms, what? Uh, yeah, absolutely. You read my mind with the Jerome. Yeah, I always enjoy saying that. I do really enjoy rainbows. I say that as someone who has not kept them but has enjoyed them at other people's houses and in pet stores. When we had the convention in Kentucky last year, I went to all of the rainbow talks, and that just made me fall in love with them even more. So that is one thing I do want to do once we get everything set up. My priority is getting the breeding areas set up for. Um, hey, Liquid Rock, good to see you. The breeding area set up for all the guppies and endlers and plecos and things, which the plecos have been breeding. The guppies and endlers, some. I had a funny story. I had one strain that I moved over, and when we moved, somehow the tag, because I just wrote on some blue masking tape for some of the things, the tag ended up coming off the aquarium, or something happened to where I had all these little silver fish that were either a guppy or an endler, and I kind of figured they were an endler, but there were no males in the tank, and they kept making babies. And so I've spent up until last week from the time I moved trying to figure out what the heck is in this tank that just keeps making babies. And it was the black bar endlers. I finally did find, I had one male when I moved, and I think one male, 7 females, and maybe a dozen fry. And now I've got probably 50 of those guys in there, if not more. But I finally did spot the male. I'm like, oh, those are the black bar endlers. But it was funny because I just sit there and I'd spend a lot of time looking in this tank trying to figure out what in the heck was in this tank. Because, anybody that's familiar with guppies or endlers, most of the time, the females are just a little silver fish. So you're sitting there looking at this stupid little silver fish going, what are you? And just waiting. And I kept watching. I was like, one of these has got to pop out with a gonopodium and start showing some color eventually. Um, Lucky male. Yeah, that was several months ago. One of the East Tennessee club meetings that I went to, someone had brought 2 bags of the black bars, and there was a male in each of them, but the one male was just not. Just wasn't up to my quality standards. It almost looked like a female with a gonopodium. The coloring was just so off on it. So we culled him out, and I left the one male with the females from both of those bags that person had brought. And so yeah, but that male, he hidden from me very well because I've spent at least 5 or 6 hours in total over the past month staring in that tank specifically, trying to figure out what on earth was in there, trying to spot a male. And I'm like, hey, there's more babies. They just dropped some fry. Jeff H, good to see you. Thank you so much for the membership milestone super chat. Appreciate you. Said, howdy, fishy people. Good to see you live, James. It's good to be live. It's good to talk to you all. And I appreciate all of you all showing up. I know this is an odd time of day for everybody. On the Oscars, how's it going? Appreciate you being here. Black Powder Aquatics, hello. Good to see you. So that's kind of, I guess, my funny story of the day is after a month and a half, I finally figured out what they were, and I was really excited about it. I'm like, those are my black bar endlers. That's what that is. And the missus was just like, okay. I'm like, all right, that kind of killed the enthusiasm. But I am gonna do, as I was talking about before, I need to get my desk cleaned off so I can show that. But I do want to do a tour to show you all what I've got going on and what fish we have. I know it's going to make some people mad though. The fishy police are not going to like it because I've got some things like let's see, the Exodons right now are in a 29-gallon tank, and some people are going to lose their minds. And I would understand that, except for the fact that you have to consider. I guess the way I would preface when I do my fish tour is think of it as looking at a fish store. This is temporary for everything. I am not recommending that anybody keep these fish in these size tanks for some of the stuff. I mean, the guppies and endlers are fine in 10 gallons, even though I'll move them into bigger. But I know some people are going to get mad and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're keeping those fish in there. And I'm going to be like, yep, I sure am. And you know what? They'll be perfectly fine in there for a couple months, just like they would be if they came into a pet store. Liquid Rock says, James, are you going to build a fry rack similar to Dean's fish room? I might. Probably yes. Probably yes. Now, I won't do that for all of the fry. So, like the guppies and endlers, the way that I plan on setting it up for them is I'm, at least at this point, I don't have plans to line breed. I'll colony breed the guppies and endlers. But I want to set it up so that I have the parent tanks, the colonies up above, and then I have 2 or 3 10 gallons down below so that I can pull females that are ready to drop, let them drop their fry someplace safe that they won't get eaten, put the females back into the colonies, and then just do the live bear, most of the live bears like that. In terms of like breeding the zebra danios again and things like that, I do want to set up a fry system like Dean's for that type of stuff. The smaller things, the things, a lot of the egg scatters. Hopefully start breeding out some tetras and things again. So, yes, I plan to set one up, but all of the fry will not be going through fry rack systems. I'll have fry rack systems for some specific things that I feel like require them. I have the parts list. That's awesome. I've built my own version a couple different times. I will probably do something closer to Dean's, if not his exact. Way over here again. Get the light. If not his exact setup, when I do the new building, because I've got 6 or 7 29-gallon tanks that I don't really have a purpose for them. But they would work well for the fry rack system, especially if I built them together and ran a loop setup. I could find uses for them, but honestly, I got them when Petco did that oopsies, and they were like $18 for a 30-gallon tank, for a 29-gallon tank. So I bought all of them that they had in stock at several stores throughout East Tennessee. So I've just got them, and then I've got a couple of 55s. Got a lot of tanks. I've got, I don't even know how many tanks. I'll have to show you all when I do the the update, but I've got a bunch of tanks, 50, 60, 70 tanks in the storage building. So we're set on that part for the most part when we get to putting things up. Jeremy, Jeremy says Dean came to our club when we did a build. That is awesome. And if anyone wants to sign to D-Fry system, it's $1 million. Hey, there you go. You never know. Whip, it is good to see you. I hope you were doing well, buddy. Jimmy James, I missed you. I missed you too, Whip. Missed all y'all. Um, that was one of the big reasons I wanted to stop and say hello to you guys while I was in town before I head back, which I should probably do in the not too distant future. Liquid Rock says, I'm making floating fry platforms with continuous strips in my 90 instead of a rack. It has a fountain pump attached to the underside of the float and a hose running over top. Just need to reduce the flow. That's awesome. Yeah, there are so many different ways to do a lot of different things, and that's I've always been a huge proponent of that. Is to take an idea that you like and to make it your own. If you see something you're like, oh, I like that fry rack system, and you go, well, maybe that doesn't suit my needs exactly like that, or maybe I don't have all the parts to build it exactly like that, or I don't want to build it like that. Adapting it and adjusting it and using what you have or what you want to use to make the idea work. So it's, the same general concept, but it's your own creation. I like the 29s. They always show up free. I don't know why. I just am not. I'm not a huge fan of them. For like, if I was going to set up just a tank, um, I just don't care for the 29s. I'd rather do a 20 long, or 40 breeder, um, or even a 20 tall. I don't know. Maybe it's the way that they rack up weird. If you try and do them in racks, I don't know. They just don't fit my needs. I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. So see, I would use the 20 highs. I have kind of, I don't want to say fallen in love with them, but grown to enjoy them more, because I've been using 20s on my desk. I've got three 20 highs. And again, I got those at that Petco sale, so they were like $11, I think, when they screwed up online, and they were like 59 cents a gallon or something like that. Um, so yeah, that's I have gotten to where I would really, if I could get a hold of enough of them at the right price, I would consider converting a lot of stuff that's in tens over to 20s. I just says, I guess I'm weird. I love them, but maybe it's the fish I like that makes them great. Yeah, absolutely. And nothing against them or anybody that enjoys them. It's just one of those that, who knows, maybe I just never had enough of them. But it always seemed like anytime I was building a system or trying to organize my tanks and set things up, it seemed like the 29s were always just getting in the way, or the dimensions were just far enough off that they didn't work with what I was building or what I wanted to build or the space that I had to incorporate. Um, but I think that right there in a nutshell is just the hobby itself. Maybe it's just the fish I like that make them great. I think that's all tanks. It's the fish that make them great, 100%. Fantastic freaks. How's it going, Austin? Using that membership milestone super chat. I appreciate you, brother. I do. Been a member for almost 30 months on Team Snowball. Says, James, been a while, good sir. Hope all is well over Tennessee. It is. Everything is going really good. Just stopped in the Food City parking lot on the way back home from a failed adventure, so I could say hello to you all and see what was going on. Jeremy says, I like to do a 29 on the bottom and 20 longs above the 29s. Okay. Okay. I like that. I think that works well. That makes sense. Paulie says, not a fan of 29s. 40 to 60 breeders are the way to go. And that being said, I've got a bunch of 20 longs. I do really like the 20 longs. Not gotten my hands on a 60 breeder yet. I've seen them in person, but I don't have any. I haven't set any up. But that is something that I would like to incorporate into the new build when the time comes. Yeah, that is another great use that I've used 29s many a time for a sump. Liquid Rock says I'm going to have a 29 as a sump for a 40 breeder after I move. They fit perfectly in the metal 40 breeder stands. 100%. I do like the 29s and 55s for do it yourself sumps. I will probably use one of my 55s for a sump on the 220 if I do follow through with my plan to drill it, which may or may not happen. But I've used 55s before as sumps. 29s a lot. At one point, I was running, I think, 329s as sumps years and years ago, back when I was really big in the saltwater side. That was my go to because you go to try and buy a sump and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like, well, I can take this 29 and I can turn it into a sump for a lot cheaper than that. And when you're doing saltwater stuff, every bit of money you can save makes the difference. IHSP says I plan to place several 29s over the 150 to 160 gallon ponds for plants and fry grow outs. Filter the 160 and have pass through in the 29s. That's very smart. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that is one thing that I guess I've gotten into. You could say as I have been doing more with house plants. I was actually plant sitting some of my mother's plants, and then I helped her repot some the other day. So I've been back into doing some house plants again, which one of the things that we're looking at is doing some different hydroponic setups. So that's, I don't know how in depth I want to go on that. But that is something that we're looking into, is having kind of a greenhouse setup with plants in there and water pass through and fish and a couple different ideas. And again, we're going to be doing the spirulina farm, so that'll be fun. Have you used the blue mass with that words are still hard with house plants? I have not, and I'm just getting back into house plants. I've got a couple of succulents, and that's it at this point. But I miss having my pothos everywhere. So I need to get some more pothos and get that going. But I definitely plan to have a lot of plant life incorporated into the new fish room. I want to do some stuff that's, of course, growing out of tanks, fun things like that. But I've got some ideas for some scapes. Like one of the wood pieces I have, the scape I plan to use it in, it's going to come out of the tank about a foot and a half. The way that piece of wood grew, but I thought it would be really fun to do some air plants on it, and then have maybe some little spotlight type pendulum type lights above head to light that up. So I'm looking forward to having room to do some fun things in the future. Let's see. IHSP says one of the 150 to 160s I intend to have is brackish. Any recommendations for cycling or plants? Surely regular bacteria won't work for brackish. I don't. Oh goodness. I can't off the top of my head think of the plants that really work for it. Um, I know that there are a couple. If you YouTube it, you will find some people that have had some success with a couple different things. Off the top of my head at the moment, I can't think of exactly what. So what I would do if it were me to get it going, to get it started and get it cycled, is I would honestly do it just like I would a freshwater. I'd say or a saltwater, but not quite as long as having to do a saltwater. And the brackish things I've done in the past, I will set the tank up. I'll put a light on it. I'll do whatever substrate I'm going to do if I'm going to do a substrate, and then just just like any other aquarium, have that light on a timer. That way it can start developing life in there. And then I would just ghost feed the tank. So that's what I would do, and pretty much what I've done in the past. Let me get back here, see what I missed. Uh, yeah, that's my thoughts, and that's the way I would do it if it were me going about it. Maybe not the best way. Somebody's probably got something better, but that's how it would go down at my house. Jeremy says they have two styles. I use the style that's a single unit and feeds off a container, and use the aquarium as the container. Now that's awesome. That's very cool. Whisper says I can find a spider plant. I want to try that as well as pothos. I've heard they work, but I don't know. I had not heard about doing the spider plants. I may have to go uh, scavenge a little bit of my mother's spider plant. She's got a massive spider plant with a lot of offshoots. So I may have to get some of that and try that. I appreciate that idea, Whip. I have to see how that works out. Let's see. Jeremy says, believe it or not, so do snake plants. Didn't know that one either. Oh, there's Sarah's comment. Sarah said, I just started too many hydroponic gardens I got for Christmas. I got lights and a pump built in, a really nice setup, and a good way to reuse water, change water. LOL. That is awesome, and congratulations on that. Yeah, that's a great way to use water. That was one of the jokes I made with my mother was, and kind of nursing her plants back to health was they were getting much better water because they were getting all that fish poo water when I was doing my water changes. So she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to when I see you doing water changes, I'm gonna have to come get some water for the house plants." Liquid Rock said, "After I move, I want a greenhouse with kratom trees and tomato plants for my old tank water. That would be very cool. I think we're gonna end up doing some size of a greenhouse because that would incorporate her plants along with my fish, and I do enjoy the house plants as well. But I think that I know she would really enjoy it, having a greenhouse for her plants, and then I would enjoy that, but also kind of a fishy aspect and setting up something, aquaponics wise, and using that water to take care of the plants. I think that would be a fun setup. Sarah says spider plants work well only if you use the babies that haven't been in soil before. Good to know. Thank you, Sarah. I will see if I can get some from her, and I know that she's got some offshoots that haven't been potted yet. Peace Lily also works well. Oh, let me go back over to this chat because that one disappeared on me. I don't see it over here. Okay. Jeremy says Ceramine was dirted, died back a bit, but then came back. Awesome. Very cool. Now I've got some new ideas and some things to try. I'm going to have to go home and. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what that car was doing. Go home and steal some spider plant. Wisp World said, "Did you cover the overall size of your fish room?" If so, I apologize, but I missed it. No, so we haven't 100% decided. Um, if I go about using the building that is there, it is just under 1,000 square feet. If we decide that it is worth fixing that up, fixing the foundation, and getting the walls set back down properly, where the roots have lifted them and kind of split some of the cinder blocks away from each other. If not, the building that I had been looking at was a 20 foot by, oh goodness, what was it? I think it was 18 by 20. I think we're going to go with the 9 foot tall. There are a lot of different configurations. Honestly, I hadn't looked at the metal buildings again in several months because once I got out to the property and saw that 2 car garage, I was like, well, this would be great. We'll just do that. We don't need to worry about doing a metal building. But now that we're running into more and more issues with doing that, I need to get back online and kind of look at some things and look at the the financial aspect of what makes the most sense. Um, but I think we're going to end up with something along the lines of a 12, or excuse me, not a 12, a 20 by 15 or a 20 by 18 building. All right. Yeah, I think that'll do well. That'll give me plenty of room to grow into stuff, and add some more things. Plus, I've got so much room outside to do the tubs and things, and then I would still be able to use, like I mentioned toward the beginning, that concrete building. I could still do some things in it. I could still put some big tubs and stuff in there from the spring through the fall, um, and I guess I technically could um, run power from one of the other houses over, for like a space heater or something if I decided to box in part of it, and even use that as well. Because we've got some power run from another house, but I'd like to do it myself because, again, I don't. The people that were there before, most of their home improvement projects have not been great. Tian says that's a good sized building for a fish room. Yes, and that would give, I think, plenty of room to do the things I need to do, to be able to have a live food center and set that up. Um, I mean, ideally, the goal is, in a couple of years to be offering, live plants and different variety of homebred fish, but also, okay, you're ordering and you need a Daphnia culture, or you need, you know, whatever, Walter worm culture, or anything like that. Posada, ever think of converting a shipping container? They're relatively inexpensive and last forever. I will look more into that. I hadn't looked a lot into it, Polly, to be honest. I had like the brief thought, um, but I don't know. I'll look some more into it. I'll look and see. So here's the problem with that. Anything that would be comparable in size or square footage in terms of a shipping container is going to cost me a fortune to get delivered to my house. In order to, if I had moved my old house, my old single wide, it was going to be about $12,000 because of all the hairpin turns and how narrow the road is. They actually have to bring in special axles and special equipment, and they had to get the sheriff's department involved because they had to close the road 2 days in a row to be able to move the trailer down that road into my property. So keeping that in mind, if I wanted to bring in a large storage container comparable to building a fish house, it would cost a lot just in the special delivery process. Webb said I was literally just talking to John Hudson and asking the dimensions of his main room so I could go a foot bigger, and he told me to step up and go 50 by 30 and do it right. Hey, there you go. Handy houses. I have not handy houses. I'll have to remember that. Um, I've not heard of that, so I'll have to check that out as well. Um, the main thing I had looked at was the like metal storage building. I guess is the best way to put it, because those get brought out, and then put together on site, so they can send a flatbed truck out, um, that would be able to get up there and then just build the thing on site. But said Jeremy said they got expensive during COVID. I believe it. That's amazing how much prices have gone up on everything. Now that I'm kind of getting back into the real world and going into public more often, I'm like, really? That's how much things cost now. Um, but yeah, I'll look into the shipping containers and I'll check out handy houses as well. I mean, the 10 by 15 would still be awesome. So I was talking to Corey, a while back about the building when I was looking into the buildings, and just, he's got a lot of experience with different size fish rooms and things. And to paraphrase what he said to me was, Dean does everything he does in like 200 square feet. They have a very small amount of space, and Dean does a lot. And most people are never even going to touch what Dean's doing, regardless of how much space they have. Um, even like a 10 by 15 would still be phenomenal. I know a guy here in Tennessee that's a guppy breeder, and he does it in his utility closet. I mean, I think it's I'm being gracious when I say it's 10 feet from the door to the back wall. I think it's more like 8 feet, but it's only like 4 foot wide. So that's hey, you can definitely do it in a smaller amount of space. But I do have like I want to be able to set my 220 up in there and have that as a big display tank. Hey Carlos, good to see you. Appreciate you swinging through. Handy houses. I'm gonna have to remember handy houses. Fantastic says any big fish room projects to tame the fish fever. I haven't really been able to do any. I need to build the rack for the 29s and the 110. That's the next thing I need to do. I do have the linear air pump run and hooked into all the tanks, so that's been good. And that got me, you know, back into rehatching my baby brine and all that stuff. It's good to see you too, Carlos. Liquid Rocks' price is about to go up 40% again. I hope not, but I believe it. Sarah says, my mom has a handy house as a shed. It's 12 by 24 barn style with lofts. It was about 4,000 with delivery and setup. That's super, super cheap. That's super cheap. What we were looking into, by the time we insulated it and did all the things, it's going to be about $20,000 is what we're budgeting to build the thing. So we shall see what we can work out within that. And I'd love to do it cheaper and then take some of that that investment money that's being put into it and use that for some stock, maybe to buy some fish that I would like to breed, like get a colony of leopard frog plecos and some additional guppy strains and things like that. PNW Aqua, good to see you. Well, folks, we have been going for about an hour now. And to be honest, I'm very cold and I definitely need to find a restroom. So I have enjoyed hanging out with you all in this cold, wet Food City parking lot from good old Maynardville, Tennessee. I'm glad that the service worked out well. And I think my gimbal's probably sick of being perched right here. But I do really appreciate you all. And it's great to get to talk to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Hey there, Kenny. Good old Kenny E. Danikin Aquatics. Good to see you, brother. And fantastic. Thank you so much, Austin, for the $3 super sticker with the thumbs up, fist bump, exercise pair. Appreciate that very much. Yes, Sarah, please do message me. That way I can remember to look into the handy house. Handy house. That way I can look into those because the money is coming through middle of March. So as soon as the money is released from probate, that we can start getting some things done. And that's going to be really exciting. But again, I thank you all. 32 people hanging out, 33 thumbs ups. Y'all are awesome. That's a great turnout for me for a Monday morning in good old rainy Tennessee. You guys know what's next. A huge thanks to all the moderators, members, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, and of course the replay crew if I leave this up. Until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy, and don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. I miss you guys. I love you, and we'll see you soon.